Welcome, everyone, to the L7C Podcast Pop Culture Edition. Today, we have another pop culture episode for you all with the pop culture expert, Miss Chelsea Hepburn. How are you doing today?
I'm excited because it's fall and it's almost Halloween.
Halloween, that's a
Yeah.
nice little ring to it. So that kind of gives a spoiler on what we're going to be talking about. We're
Mhm.
going to be talking about Halloween, some fun stuff, some just interesting things that we're going to talk about to just get you thinking about things you may not have thought about. So, first thing, Chelsea, just want you to little experiment. Want you to close your eyes,
Okay.
and so you're imagining. So, Halloween. The first thing that comes to your mind about a male costume on Halloween, what comes to your mind?
We're talking adults only, right?
Adults only.
Mm, I always think of like something sportsy
Okay.
where like guys can show off their arms and like athleticism.
Okay. Okay.
You know
So
what I mean? Like
I
a
do.
basketball player.
I do. I know exactly what you mean on that. So then reverse, eyes closed. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think about a adult woman on Halloween?
Tits.
Okay. So we got arm and tits. That's what we got right now.
Yep, that is 100% it.
Okay. So when you thought of those things, just to follow up stereotype wise, what made you think of those are the first two things that came to your mind?
Um, for guys, I feel like it's always the same outfit. They've
Mhm.
gotten a little bit more creative as time has gone on, but it's always like the stereotypical like party, like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna wear, so I'm gonna dress up as insert sport here, where I can carry around a ball and wear a jersey that I already own and put little to no thought into it. And it's very easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Okay.
Um, and then for girls, like no matter what the costume is, it could be funny, it could be like a little risque, it could be whatever, but it's always going to be I want to show my boobs because it's cold out and I can wear a jacket or long sleeves and still have those showing.
No, fair enough.
At
Those
least
are
it is for me.
those are very, very interesting points. Chelsea, obviously you would say a woman of culture. So you have watched the cult classic movie Mean Girls a couple times.
Just a couple.
Just a couple, but Mean Girls, they explain Halloween the absolute best in the monologue of Halloween.
Hmm.
Um, and I quote directly from Mean Girls. In the girl world, Halloween is the one night a year where girls can dress like a total slut and no other girls can say anything about it. What's your thoughts on the Halloween quote unquote slut rule?
I think it's true. I think it's very much true. Because no matter how you dress, if it's a funny costume, if it's a political statement, if it's smart or whatever, you can still add a little bit of slut to it and still get taken seriously.
Because also in that movie too, Lindsay Lohan's character did not get the memo
Oh
for
no.
that. So she came in a normal. I mean, it was a good Halloween costume, nothing wrong with it, but she did not have enough slut in her costume that she was getting looked like as an outcast. Like, what are you doing as a girl dressing proper
Mhm.
on Halloween? Like, what are your thoughts now as an adult thinking seeing that?
I think as an adult, it's fun to see somebody dressing scary and not adding like the sluttiness to it. But it's interesting, like when we were growing up, you always wanted to be like that high schooler or that college student who gets the guy or gets the girl, and you just like look a certain way because you want to feel your best and you know you can kind of get away with it.
Mhm.
Um, so it's still kind of that way, I think, today. Like I definitely would love to still dress slutty and sometimes, and Halloween's the perfect excuse to do it. But at the same time, like it's whatever fits your vibe for the night. Like if you are somebody who's a hardcore scary spooky fan, just scary. Who cares?
Why is Halloween the one night? a year that people are, I mean, more specifically, women are encouraged to dress slutty. Like, why are they so encouraged on Halloween, but any other day? If they wore that outfit any other day, they would get ostracized,
Mhm.
things of that. Well, maybe if they're not like if they're posting it on their things now, times have changed. But like if you wore that in public, you would get
Right.
ostracized. But if you're Halloween parties, you are it's almost a quasi like silent demand you have to dress like that.
I think it's a little bit more like the sluttiness is more accessible. So Party City, Halloween,
Mm-hmm.
Spirit Halloween, whatever. Like you can find a costume for $20 and it's normal for every single person to get their hands on. But if you wanted to dress slutty for your everyday life, like you have to go to Shein, Nasty Gal, Victoria's Secret, whatever, and buy something that's a little bit more expensive and then make that choice to wear it on a random Monday. But like because it's for a specific day, it's not as frowned upon, if that makes sense. So it's more accessible and is literally only for one day.
Do you think that Halloween is quote unquote sexist in a way because it's more, I mean, with the women, you're like, oh, you're allowed to dress like a slut. But for, like for the
Mhm.
guys, there's no really thing for that.
I think our culture as a whole is just inherently sexist. Um, but I think Halloween, I think girls are kind of taking it back in a sense. Like I saw this video of like non-traditional Halloween costumes, and it was literally silverware. And these girls dressed in like these really cute boob heavy silver spandex outfits, but then literally made cardboard cutouts of like forks or spoons or knives on their heads. And it's funny in the sense of like they're still hot, but they're pushing the envelope of what hot is, quote unquote. It's not like a stereotypical sexy nurse or sexy nun. Like it's just it's funny.
Yeah, it's so weird too that in terms of Halloween that everything gets sexualized. Like those normal jobs you just said, a nurse or a teacher, like
Mm-hmm.
they have to be super sexualized on Halloween, but any other day they're just like, oh, whatever. And then also animals. I mean, I don't know how many times I've seen a girl make going as like a rabbit or a cat or
Or a
stuff like that.
reindeer.
Or a reindeer is just like, oh, I don't know any reindeers like that because there are people too, like especially post Me Too movement who deem that like those Halloween parties and women dressing like that and getting sexualized the whole time could lead to problems. Like, what are your thoughts
Mm-hmm.
on that in terms of like, because especially for party culture, some it starts in high school, maybe your junior, senior year where you're having these type of
Mm-hmm.
parties. And the Mean Girls clip, which again, I suggest everyone to watch that clip. It explains it perfectly. You have the mom super excited taking a picture of one of the girls in a sexy rabbit costume while the dad is pissed off. Like, what the hell is this?
Right.
And then obviously when you get to college, I mean, Halloween parties, no matter how big your campus is, big or small, are usually one of the biggest parties of the year. And that's when everyone is trying to show out. Like, what are your thoughts on like post Me Too with people like, oh, you don't need to dress sexy at Halloween anymore. You're just doing this for guys. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I think I think there's multiple parts to it. Like there's definitely a bigger risk if you're going out on Halloween, no matter how you dress, because the amount of people that are out and about is 10 times
Mm-hmm.
more. Like I would argue that it's bigger than New Year's Eve, in my opinion, just because it's a little bit warmer. There's less like thought of the risk of driving home after on Halloween than there is for New Year's Eve. More if you live in a colder climate, like the snow is obviously a risk. But just the sheer amount of people and like that party culture, like you're at a higher risk of something bad happening. Not that it is, but it could. Um, but in terms of like the Me Too of like you don't have to dress that way, I think I'm torn because like yes, you don't have to dress that way, but if you want to dress that way, live your best life. But does that mean that you're doing it for a guy? Maybe. I mean, sometimes it's fun to do that. But at the same time, most girls are doing it for themselves because it is that one single night where you can dress that way and not get any blame for it. Like if you wanted to dress up as a slutty Ursula from Little Mermaid, you absolutely could, and no one's going to say anything.
What do you think of the people who, not saying this is right or wrong, just for the sake of the conversation, especially Halloween parties, there is bad that happens. There are sexual assaults, things like that. And when the people say, well, the quote of, if you dress like a slut, you're treated as a slut, or that you were
Mhm.
asking for it. Like, how do you feel about those and mixing that with like Halloween and all of that?
I think no matter what you are wearing or what you are not wearing, if you don't verbally give consent, like the issue stops and starts there. Like it doesn't matter what I'm wearing. It doesn't mean that I want you to have sex with me or kiss me or touch me or do anything with me. Like I can be dressing this way for myself or for my friends or for my partner or whoever, but that does not give anyone else the right to touch your body without your consent.
Do you feel like, first, I mean, who gets to decide what slutty is in current society right now? Like, I know we just talked about what are potential consequences, but like, who decides what it means to dress like a slut? Like, is there a difference between dressing sexy and dressing like a slut? Like, those are like three questions there.
Mm, one, I think a bulk of like everyday people get their culture from celebrities and famous people.
Mm-hmm.
Like we kind of take our cues from them, if you will, because a lot of like people's inspiration for Halloween costumes stems from what happened in pop culture and celebrity culture.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but in terms of who gets to decide what is sexy versus slutty, it kind of goes twofold. It goes with what you are comfortable wearing because sexiness is different for everyone and
Mm-hmm.
sluttiness is different for everyone. And it also depends on like if you're religious or not religious and what that religion may be. It could depend on your upbringing. Like some people might feel red lipstick and red nail polish is slutty, whereas other people are just like, no, this is sexy. It just kind of depends on what you associate that with. Um, because like for me, I grew up a with big boobs. Like that's it just is what it is. And I was ashamed for it from middle school until college. By youth pastors, by teachers, by strangers, by whomever. And so for a very long time I associated that with being like slutty, even though by like the normal slutty definition, I absolutely was not. But now, like, I've kind of grown to embrace it a little bit more, but it took a lot of time to get to, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. And it's also weird too, because in the fact that at the current times, I mean, these from now until November 1st, this is
Mm-hmm.
where a lot of Instagram models make a lot of money because
Mm-hmm.
they're posting new outfits almost every day on their pages. Like this is a booming period for them, for people who do OnlyFans, because it's one of those things. I think that Halloween is one of those times, depending on your outfit. Like if you're trying to get in this, like if you're a woman trying to get in like a skin tight Black Widow outfit or something like that, or if you're a guy trying to like go, like you said, in the jersey, show your arms, or you're going like no shirt or whatever, trying to show your like upper torso. It's one of those times where a lot of people start working out, trying to prepare for, which like I put in the same category as spring break, summer, vacations, weddings.
Mhm.
Those are the type of events that people really try and, if they don't work out, they try and work out for, because their physical body, like it or not, is probably going to get judged.
Oh, absolutely. And it's like Halloween is kind of the equivalent of Vegas. Like you can wear whatever you
Mm-hmm.
want. You can feel empowered. You can dress a certain way and no one's going to say anything. But there always is going to be silent judgment in the back of people's heads of like, what made you choose to wear that? For good or for better, about your body or just about the styling in general. It like there's certain things that people might not say, but they're still going to think it. So you definitely want to look your best.
Were you ever influenced, like, with the party culture stuff, about if you're going to a Halloween party with your friends and you just like turn and you're asking your friends what they're going as, and you look and you're just like, oh my
Mm-hmm.
goodness, so and so looks absolutely amazing, like super attractive, all that jazz, or in this term for the sake of the pod, quote unquote, slutty, and then you're looking like prune juice and you start doubting yourself. Has that ever come to your mind in all your years of like potentially going to Halloween parties?
Yes. So like a few years ago, one of my friend groups, we went as fairies
Mm-hmm.
and I was super busy with life and work and I didn't have time to buy a cute costume.
Mm-hmm.
So I went as like a granny fairy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I had the wings, but I didn't have the really, really cute outfit like everyone else. So I definitely was self-conscious. And that was when I was like at my peak, super in shape, like super on it, hot girl Chelsea. Like 2021 was that year. But I remember even in high school, like my friend group, we would still go trick or treating because we were those teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and we did Alice in Wonderland, and I was the Cheshire Cat. And you want to look your best for pictures. Like, you know that people are going to want to take pictures. You know that that's something that you're going to treasure for a very long time, or it'll come up. And like, I struggled with acne in high school and now. And I remember freaking out because my skin was just like not doing good. And I was like, people are going to be able to tell in these pictures that are grainy and are from 10 feet away, but you can see this giant pimple. And I remember like feeling so self conscious because all of my other friends were just like, they looked so good. And I was just like a pimply mess. So I think people will always kind of have those insecurities for any big event, but especially an event where you want to or feel the pressure to look sexy or slutty.
I also saw this statistic today that women could spend anywhere from, and this is a third of female consumers living in the United States plan to spend anywhere from one to a average $100 on Halloween items, quote unquote, costume, then less than 5% of U.S. women intend to spend over 1,000 or more dollars on Halloween stuff. Those are your quote unquote people, celebrities, things like that. Because celebrities also, you see the Halloween parties that they're throwing and what they're going as, usually form fitting outfits as well, and people work out to that jazz. But
Mm-hmm.
there's also things about, again, people being problematic on Halloween. Like, how are people problematic on Halloween? Adults per se.
The biggest one is if you are dressing up as someone who is a different race and
Mm-hmm.
you paint your skin or make your facial features to look a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
that is definitely problematic. Or if
Mm-hmm.
you do your hair a certain way, um, where it becomes cultural appropriation. Like you can still dress up as that character. You don't have to change yourself to fit the character. That's what I think people miss. Like
Mm-hmm.
Julianne Huff, the Dancing with the Stars girl.
Mm-hmm.
She dressed up as an Orange is the New Black character. And she had painted her skin and did the whole thing. And she dressed up as Crazy Eyes. That's what it was. And she definitely could have done the outfit and the character without painting her skin. Like, I don't know. That's when it becomes problematic.
Gotcha. That makes sense when you're going as another race because I mean, especially in this time frame, that's really
Hmm.
like hard to do in a sense. That makes sense. I think that and I mean, people getting a lot more handsy with people sexual assault increasing a bit because Halloween with like you just said arms and tits and there's a lot of alcohol and
Hmm.
that can lead to some pretty bad situations if not everyone is under control.
Yeah. Yeah. But it also, this is such a stupid one, but like if you work in a workplace that allows you to dress up for Halloween or encourages like pumpkin like competitions and stuff like that, it amazes me that adults have to be reminded to dress appropriately for work.
Oh, wow.
Like that's also very, very problematic. And I just want to bring it up. Like if you are going to work with like full lingerie on, for your costume? Absolutely not. Turn yourself around. Get back in your car, drive back to your house, drink a little bit more coffee, and figure out your life.
I would think that is kind of crazy to think about how people who do have those opportunities to go to work dressed up
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't have an appropriate Halloween costume to wear for work. They only have their Halloween costume that they wear in their personal life at a party that you
Right,
wouldn't want anyone at work potentially seeing or getting passed around the web. So
right. And I
that
think there's a difference too. Like if I saw my one of my coworkers, like if I saw an Instagram post or a tagged picture and they were dressed up in their provocative costume, male or female, like I'd sit there and be like, good for them. But if I saw it in the workplace, I'd be like, what the heck were you thinking? Do better.
yeah, you can't most Halloween costumes for adults are not appropriate to be wearing at a 8 to 5, 9 to 5 job.
Correct. Like, wear a cute little sweater, wear your cute little cat ears or your double headband or whatever, but make it work appropriate.
I would also add, then do you feel the same way about if you're going to a Halloween party and you know it's not like an adult party, there's kids there? Like let's
Mm,
say you're going to your friends, I don't know, or your cousin, friends, kids, whatever,
yeah,
Halloween party, and it's like his fifth birthday. You're not gonna wear the same thing you would wear to an adult party to that, would you?
absolutely not.
Okay.
Especially not around my family. They don't need to know what I look like when I'm hot, unless it's for a wedding. And then you come in with like great date and a fantastic dress. But no, I wouldn't wear my same Halloween costume to a family party. Would I send pictures to my mom so that way she could see what me and the gang look like? Absolutely. But would I wear it to our cousin's fifth birthday? No. Would I wear it to pass out candy at someone's house who has a kid? No.
There's a saying with besides the slut rule from Mean Girls, another saying that you said earlier is a hoe never gets cold,
That's true.
especially during Halloween, because it's kind of crazy how Halloween can be low 40s, 30s, especially you're walking around college campuses with probably your just
Mm-hmm.
jacket, but you're in not that many clothes. So it's like any other day, you are freezing quadruple layered up. But on Halloween, somehow adrenaline just and your outfit
It's
is keeping you warm.
adrenaline, but also the amount of alcohol that you drink. That's why a hoe never gets cold in college. But I don't know. As an adult, there's definitely times where I will skip a jacket because it's inconvenient. Like if I know, like I'm going out to the gay bars and I know I'm going to be dancing, but it's January, I will skip a jacket for that because I know in my heart of hearts that I will be sweaty and I don't want to hold it and I will lose my jacket. But if I'm just going to a dive bar, you bet I'm bringing my giant sleeping bag size jacket and I'm going to wear my beanie and I'm going to bring my scarf. Like, I think it all just depends on what you're doing activity wise and the level of chaos that you can expect.
Fair enough. Chelsea, what are your final thoughts on Halloween and people dressing up and
Oh, I
staying
love it.
safe out there?
I Halloween is one of my favorite holidays. Um, One, even as a kid, it was just so much fun. Like you got to dress up, you got to wear your costume to school, you get a lot of candy. And as an adult, like I don't know, it still hasn't lost its magic to me. Like I think it's great seeing the creativity that people do, regardless if it's scary, sexy, funny, whatever the case may be. I live for it. I love Halloween. And I think it's just a good, wholesome holiday. Like if you're dressing up with your friends, it's fun picking out those outfits and seeing what other people are going to wear and getting ready together. If you're going out drinking, love it. We love to see it. If you're staying home and passing out candy, make sure you get some candy too. It's my favorite holiday. But I also think that people should be smart and be safe and always have a buddy with them no matter where they're going.
Fair enough. I have nothing to add on that. And with that being said, thank you everyone for listening to the L7C podcast. Make sure you like, rate, comment, subscribe wherever you listen to. Appreciate your support. Thank you, Chelsea, for talking about Halloween and how it is okay to dress up as you want to dress up on Halloween as long as you're doing it under your own free will and that where you're going to be at, you're going to be safe and things of that nature. And with that being said, happy Halloween. Enjoy yourselves. Eat some candy. That's another thing. It's one of the times of the year where you're allowed to eat a whole bunch of candy and not get judged.
Oh, I'm buying 2 bags of Reese's and I'm eating both of them.
So that's another thing. You're allowed to eat as much as you want candy and you're allowed to dress any way you want, which is kind of oxymorons, eating and dressing the way you want. Only allowed one day of the year, but not the rest of your life. So with that being said, thank you everyone for listening to the L7C podcast. Signing out. Thank you for listening to this episode of the L7C podcast. Be sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all social media platforms, and we'll be talking to you guys soon. Take care.